recognition, attention, overachiever versus achiever. So these are other blockages. If you think you need recognition, then you haven't learned self-love. Attention, same thing, self-love. If you haven't learned to love yourself, you're going to search outside yourself for recognition. And most people, from experience, I can tell you, it happens with their parents. For some reason, they didn't feel like they were supported or loved by their parents, and so sometimes they go their whole life trying to prove themselves, just to get that recognition. Okay? And one of the things you can do is learn to do that within yourself, and I'll give you some exercises a little later to work on self-love. Now, overachiever versus achiever. And I can, again, from experience, I was an overachiever. And I was an overachiever for the parent issue. But once I understood it, okay, and healed that issue, I became an achiever rather than an overachiever. An overachiever, I was abusing myself, physically, consciously, because I was trying too hard, and I didn't realize you didn't have to try that hard to get the same results. Okay, physical house cleaning and effects of emotional subconscious connections. This can be very powerful, and I didn't realize it until I actually did it. I was like, this has got to do with your actual physical house, whether it be your garage, your actual bedrooms, living rooms, whatever. Physical house cleaning is related to the consciousness that an item might have in your house. Okay? When you look at an item in your house, doesn't matter what it is, what are you thinking? Okay, it has to do with where it came from, who might have given it to you, what might have happened at the time you received it. Okay, everything that you look at, you're going to have a thought about. Okay, and again, this is about being aware of your thoughts. So when you look at something in your house and you say, I remember when I got that, guess what? Get rid of it. I don't care if you give it away, you sell it on eBay, get the consciousness out to help release that negative energy. All right, now I went through my place, and I was like, I got done, and I felt 10 pounds lighter. I was like, did I lose weight? I was like, that's great. All right, I felt the elevation in my spirit. Now here's another thing that women would appreciate, I'm sure, or maybe not appreciate. And it's an example. You say you loan a pair of shoes to a friend. They wear them to a party, and they get wine spilled on one of the shoes. Okay, now you love these shoes. So they give them back to you and they say, oh look, I'm so sorry, I'll pay for them, but you can't replace the shoes. So maybe they give you some money, but you can't throw out the shoes because you had some history with them. So what do? You put them in the closet. And what happens every time you open the door to the closet? Well, you think about it and you're like, those are my nicest shoes. Okay, so, this is what happens to us. We tend to hang on to things because of our past histories. And not necessarily for the most positive reasons. I mean, how many people, before we just talked about this, would have thought to go home and say, that couch, I remember when I got that couch, terrible things happened to me, and that's all I think about when but they didn't think about that until I brought it to their attention. So this is what I'm doing. You bring it to your attention, then you can deal with it. So physical house cleaning, and like I said, affects the emotional, makes you feel better, and the subconscious connections, absolutely. Limiting thoughts, words and actions. Well, this is a huge one. I mean, we all know people that go around and say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that, oh, that won't happen. Any limiting thoughts and actions, thoughts, words, and actions, they all impact your ability to move this direction. Because one of the things you have to understand, one of the first rules is anything and everything is possible. And you're the master of your own destiny. So if you're thinking it can't happen, guess what? Most likely it won't happen. So again, reprogramming. And when you hear people around you, again, going back to this, when you hear people around you saying, oh, you can't do that, oh, you should, that's no way that's going to happen, you need to make a choice. Okay? Is this person really being supportive? I mean, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, you'll become a millionaire next week and be totally off the wall. It's another thing to be realistic and let people manifest at their own capacity rather than tell them what they can and can't manifest. So limiting thoughts of others, just like I said, you are what you think, you become what you're exposed to. So if you're around a lot of people that are limiting with limited thoughts, you will become self-limiting. Terms such as never, can't, impossible, hard, difficult, and problem are only challenges. And that's kind of a reprogramming thing, because we've all been there where we've said those things to ourselves and to other people. And I've tried to use only the word challenges here today. But, you know, I might have slipped once in a while and call it a problem. You know, that is the constant programming. Catch yourself when you're saying things. Catch yourself when you're thinking things. And pay attention when other people are thinking them and saying them. You know, you can tell when somebody's thinking you can't do something. They don't necessarily have to say it, right? Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Just pay attention so that you don't get caught up in their consciousness. Stay in your own. Don't let their thoughts become your thoughts if they're self-limiting. Okay, every challenge has a solution. The only question is when, where, and how you will find the solution. Okay, there's a solution to every problem in your personal life, in business, in the planet, between governments. There's a solution. There's solutions out there. Now, in some cases, they're being repressed. You know that. I mean, the solutions aren't supposed to be revealed or used because they don't want them to be solved. And I'm not just talking about government things. I'm talking about every level. Learning from experiences equals reprogramming, growth, healing, and conscious acceleration. Okay, so when you learn from your experiences, you are reprogramming, which results in growth and healing, which results in acceleration of your consciousness. Experience is our greatest teacher. In fact, it's our only teacher. Well, we've already said that. Every experience contains a lesson, an opportunity to improve yourself, your healing, and growth. Now, again, I've heard people say, oh, I had an experience. And I said, what'd you learn? They said, oh, I learned never to be around that person. Okay? All right. You know, that's normal. You know, that's absolutely normal. And it makes sense on some level. But they miss the true meaning. It's all about personal growth. Every experience is about personal growth. So if you think you shouldn't have been there around that person, then you need to reflect on why that person tweaked you and made you feel uncomfortable. It's got nothing to do with them. You manifested them. All you got to do is figure out why you manifested them and learn it so you can de-manifest them and go on to better people. Okay, choices in every moment of life and must learn from the outcome and consequences. Yeah, well, again, we're talking about the choice. And that's every thought and action. So, again, this is how we learn the consequences and then modify our abilities to make choice. And, you know, what I do is I help people, I give them information so that they can make the choice themselves and then learn how to make better choices. That's the best kind of support you can give somebody, is help them learn how to make better choices. Because this is a choice. The whole thing is a choice to be here, to learn this information, but every single thought and action has a choice. So if you can help somebody make better choices, they're going to grow on their own and you don't even have to do anything. Ask yourself, did you achieve the desired result? That's how you determine if you made the best choice. Now, the desired result may not have always been polarized positive. You might have had selfish reasons for a result. But you can still learn from it if you ask if you achieve the desired result. And the common thing with that is a lot of people try to help someone else. And you've all experienced this where a person is trying to help you and it turns out worse because they got involved. Okay, so, you know, the person who was trying to help must ask themselves, you know, gee, it didn't work out. What am I doing wrong? It's about self-evaluation. All of your experiences are a reflection of what's going on inside of you. Pain, conflicts, anxiety, and peace. Okay. It's our consciousness, it's our entire energy that attracts every experience and manifests every experience. So, all of your experience is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So if you experience something traumatic, you have to look inside of you and say, how did I do that? You know, where is that trauma stored? What past experience has caused me to manifest this? Because it's usually something from childhood, something from the past. You've been hurt, you've been wounded, you've been put in a state of fear, and ultimately you attract those experiences because you're harnessing them.